Hi, my husband and I recently caught Motionless in White live in Frankfurt. When they came to Germany on their Europe and UK Afraid of the Dark tour. The venue, Jahrhunderthalle, is one we've been to before. We've seen their Baby Metal, Slaughter to Prevail, and Lorna Shore. And this is one of the venues in Frankfurt with better sound, as opposed to Festhalle, which is located in the city center. This venue is kind of located outside of the city center, and you have to change in order to get there if you go from Hauptbahnhof, the main train station, or from the city center. The show was sold out. 3 bands in total played. All 3 bands were metalcore. And it was definitely a concert for millennials because almost everyone looked to be about our age. The first opener was Make Them Suffer. And wow, did they put in a show. They played only 7 songs and it kind of felt that it was over way too quickly. They all had great energy and great stage presence. And it kind of even felt a little exhausting as they were moving around so much. The vocals were amazing on the part of both the main vocalist and the backup vocalist. Who, by the way, sings, screams, plays keyboard, guitar, and even sort of dances. The guitarist even had a broken ankle, but he was moving around on the stage as if it didn't even affect him. My only complaint is their lights were kinda rough. They had these bright, overpowering lights pointing right at us, so half of the show I couldn't really see what was going on the stage. Maybe it's because we were sitting on the balcony. Still, it was a great opener. The second opener was Dayseeker. And when they came out, there was a noticeable decline in energy. It's not like they didn't play well, it's just their music and stage presence just have such a different vibe, and hearing them after Make Them Suffer kinda left a feeling that the order of support act should have been the other way around. It's not to say they didn't play well, it was a super entertaining show. And with these kinds of bands, the vocals are usually a bit off, but that was only the case with the quiet singing parts, probably because the vocalist couldn't hear himself. When he was belting, things sounded great. Dayseeker's guitarist also sung harmony on a few choruses and did an amazing job. Since it's a difficult thing to do. To my surprise, they played Crying While You're Dancing. Since it's not one of their popular songs, at least if you're going by the most played songs on Spotify, I find this song quite cheesy, but I do have to admit this song is very catchy, so it was a nice surprise. There was this little awkward moment when the frontman asked for a mosh pit and the crowd just did not cooperate. And a small one eventually got going, but the song wasn't even heavy, and in my opinion, Dayseeker isn't a band you can mosh to. And this whole thing kind of felt a little cringe. I think support bands should treat carefully when they ask for mosh pits, because it seems to happen almost at every show. Overall, it was a great show. And they had these pink lights that set the vibe of the show. That was really cool. To be honest, their light work was much better than Make Them Suffer's. And then it was time for the star of the show, Motionless in White. They opened with this meme on the screen, you know, with this goofy cat spinning around. That was pretty interesting to see, and it was a little bit surprising. They opened with Meltdown, and wow, that was quite the entrance. The production was firing on all cylinders. They had interesting animations on the screens, pyrotechnics, and dancers with mini flamethrowers. The whole works. After that, they went into Sign of Life, which might resemble a song of Breaking Benjamin on choruses. And after that, into one of their older songs, America. We could hear everything fairly well, and the band did a great job putting on a performance. Chris's vocals sounded pretty good, although there were a few times when something sounded a little off. It was most noticeable when he tried to do his creeping singing voice. Sometimes the pitch was a little off, and sometimes we couldn't just hear him clearly. But he nailed most of his big choruses, and his screams were excellent all around. I think what happened is he got tired as the show went on, and I could even hear that his voice was changing a little when he talked to the crowd between the songs. The bassist's vocals weren't as good as I was expecting. I've seen videos where he sings live and he just nails it. I don't know what happened. Maybe he just had a bad night or he couldn't hear himself. And the special credit goes to his hair. He had great hair. He had these amazing braids. And I didn't know I liked braids on men until this show. They looked just awesome. The guitarist, on the other hand, did an excellent job doing backup vocals, and throughout the show I didn't notice a single wrong note. From a nailing pitch standpoint, he did even a better job than Chris, but of course his parts were a lot easier. I was really happy to hear their new song, Afraid of the Dark. But I was quite disappointed they didn't play my favorite, which is Masterpiece. They did not play Masterpiece. This is one of their most successful songs, at least if you're going by Spotify. One notable thing is they played Slaughterhouse from their latest album, which features Brian Garris from Noctilus. Instead of doing this weird thing bands have been doing lately, when they play on the screen the featured artist, since they're not there, Chris invited the vocalist from Make Them Suffer to perform Brian's part. I actually liked it much better than seeing the artist on the screen. The dancers came out on about half of the songs in a variety of costumes, and they did some interesting choreography. I was a little put off how they were sexualized, but since some of Motionless in White songs are dirty, you can argue it fits, I suppose. Towards the end, they played Another Live. And then they closed with Eternally Yours. In the end of the song, the dancers were throwing roses to the crowd. It was a very long show since we saw all three bands, and we definitely can say we got our money worth. If you ever get a chance to see these bands, I would recommend it. This is it for today. See you in my next videos. Goodbye.